He bought a dead alien town for 100 credits. But one mother refused to leave. The salvage shuttle shuddered as it locked onto the docking claws of Ring City, Heliograd. The huge metal ring drifted in silent orbit around a burning orange gas giant. No ships, no voices, no movement. Just a dead world circling another dead world. Jax Cade stood at the shuttle window, staring at the dark towers that curved around the ring's inner arc. Once, thousands of people lived and worked here. Now it looked like a giant skeleton made from steel and broken lights. Great, Jax muttered. Bought myself a giant metal coffin. He checked his digital deed again. 50 credits. A ridiculous price for an entire Ring City. But it was all he had left. And he needed somewhere far away from the war, far away from the voices he couldn't forget. The airlock hissed open. Cold, sharp air rushed inside. Jax stepped out onto the metal walkway, boots echoing loudly in the empty corridor. Pale lights flickered to life as his body heat triggered old sensors. Everything around him felt abandoned. Rusted handrails, collapsed ceiling panels, painted warnings from long-gone workers. Don't enter the core. Run while you can. Jax frowned. Promising. He raised his rifle, not to shoot, but because old habits never died. He moved carefully, scanning every doorway, every shadow. The ring groaned around him like something alive and unhappy. He made his way toward the central habitat hub, where the old markets and living quarters used to be. A cracked window showed the massive gas giant below, swirling with storms the size of continents. This place should have been famous, Jax whispered. Instead, they sold it for pocket change. Then he froze. A sound. A soft metal clank. Then another. Something moving. Jax stepped behind a fallen support beam, heart thumping. No wind existed inside a sealed ring. No animals lived up here. Nothing should be making noise. A faint light glowed from the old market area. Not the cold emergency lights, but a warm, living light. And a smell that did not belong in a dead place. Warm food. Jax tightened his grip on his rifle and moved closer, silent as he could. The warm light flickered from behind a half-broken stall. He raised his voice just enough to carry. Whoever you are, I'm not here to fight. I just bought this place. Silence. Then a voice answered. A quiet, calm voice. Feminine, and definitely not human. You bought Heliograd? The voice asked. An almost sad laugh followed. For 50 credits? Jax stepped forward slowly, ready for anything. From behind the stall, a tall figure appeared. Slender, graceful, skin a deep violet with soft glowing lines running along her neck and arms. Her eyes were bright gold, watching him the way a wild creature watches a stranger. I am Nyari, she said, and this ring is not as empty as you were told. Before Jax could answer, a small shape peeked from behind her. A child, bright-eyed, the same glow in his skin. I'm Leo, the boy said shyly. Are you a real human? Jax lowered his rifle. He had come to escape people. Instead, he had found an alien mother and her child living in a place everyone else had abandoned. And suddenly, the ring didn't feel dead anymore. Jax stood frozen, staring at the alien mother and child. He had come expecting ghosts, not living beings. Nyari watched him with guarded eyes, her posture calm, but ready to move if he made a wrong step. Leo, the boy, peeked from behind her leg, studying Jax like he was something from a storybook. You shouldn't be here, Nyari finally said. This ring is not safe. Jax let out a dry laugh. Trust me, lady, nowhere in this galaxy is safe anymore. I'll take my chances. Nyari didn't return the smile. This place is different. It has moods. Before Jax could ask what that meant, the deck under his boots trembled sharply. A deep rumble echoed through the corridor, shaking loose dust from the ceiling. A panel in the wall sparked, casting bright flashes across the broken market stalls. Leo grabbed Nyari's hand. It's happening again, he whispered. Jax straightened. What's happening? Nyari's golden eyes sharpened with alarm. Field surge. From the gas giant. When the ring is weak, the storm energy leaks inside. We must move. Now. She grabbed Leo's hand and started toward a narrow hallway. Jax followed, rifle slung across his shoulder as the rumbling grew louder. The lights flickered once, then bathed the corridor in a sickly orange glow. What exactly is a field surge? Jax asked as they hurried. Nyari answered over the growing vibration in the walls. The gas giant below releases massive energy storms. The ring was designed to shield itself. But the system has been failing for years. She shot him a look. When the coils overload, the energy enters the habitable levels. It can melt bone. Great, Jax muttered. Perfect home. They turned into what looked like an emergency shelter welded from leftover metal sheets. Nyari slammed her palm against the control pad, and a heavy bulkhead door slid shut behind them. Inside, it was dim but warm, strange for a forgotten ring. A small heater glowed in the corner. Blankets lined the walls. Tools and spare parts hung neatly in racks. This wasn't just a shelter. It was a home. Leo climbed onto a cushioned bench. Mama made it safe, he said proudly. She always does. Nyari placed her hand on his head gently. Jax noticed the softness in her expression, a softness that vanished the moment she looked at him again. You said you bought the ring, she said. Why? Jax shrugged off his pack. Needed a place away from the war. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere nobody would chase me. Nyari's voice lowered. Many come here chasing silence. Few survive long enough to enjoy it. The heater flickered as a massive crash echoed outside. The entire shelter shook. Leo pressed his face into Nyari's shoulder. Jax steadied himself on the wall. This is one hell of a storm. Nyari nodded grimly. It will pass in a few hours. Until then, we wait. They sat across from each other. The only sound was the faint metallic thunder rolling through the ring. After a moment, Jax spoke softly. You've been living here alone with your kid? Not alone, Nyari said quietly. My mate was with us. But the lower levels collapsed during a surge. He never returned. Jax looked at her, surprised by the calmness in her tone. But her tightly clenched hands told the truth. I'm sorry, he said sincerely. Leo lifted his head. Mama says we stay because Papa believed the ring still had secrets. Jax raised an eyebrow. Secrets? Nyari hesitated. Then she looked at the sealed door as if expecting it to listen. This place was not built only for harvesting energy, she whispered. There is something older inside the metal. Something that wakes when the storms come. Jax leaned forward. Older than human tech. Nyari nodded. Older than mine. Older than most things we know. The shelter vibrated again, harder this time. A low hum filled the air. Not from the storm, but from below them. Leo's eyes widened. It's calling again, he whispered. Jax felt the hair rise on his arms. Calling? Nyari stood quickly, fear and determination mixed on her face. The ring wants something, she said. And it does not wake for no reason. A final boom shook the shelter, and then suddenly, silence. The storm had passed. Nyari opened the door cautiously. Half the corridor outside was covered in crackling blue residue, like dried lightning. Jax stared at it, shocked. What in the world? Nyari turned to him, her voice steady but urgent. You came here looking for peace, she said. But Heliograd is not peaceful. It is alive, and it is watching us. Leo slipped his small hand into Jax's. Don't worry, the boy said softly. It knows you now. Jax swallowed hard. Somehow, that didn't make him feel any safer. The storm had passed, but the ring did not feel calm. The metal under Jax's boots felt tense, as if the whole structure held its breath. Strange blue sparks clung to the walls, fading slowly like dying stars. Nyari checked each corridor before stepping out of the shelter. Leo stayed close, holding her hand. Jax followed, rifle ready, not because he wanted to fight, but because instinct told him danger was not done with them. The silence pressed on all three of them. No hum of machines. No crew voices. No alarms. Just the deep, endless quiet of a place that shouldn't be alive. Nyari stopped suddenly. A faint vibration moved under their feet, soft but rhythmic. A pulse. Leo whispered. That's the same feeling as before. Jax crouched and pressed a hand to the floor. The vibration was steady, almost like a heartbeat. That normal? He asked. Nyari shook her head. No. The ring's main reactor is dead. It shouldn't create any pattern like this. The pulse grew stronger, then stopped. Instantly, a long metallic groan echoed through the walls, followed by the click of shifting panels somewhere nearby. Leo turned his glowing eyes toward a side corridor. There, he said quietly. It wants us to look. Jax raised an eyebrow. The ring wants us to look. Nyari didn't answer. She just moved. They walked through a narrow hallway filled with old storage crates. Dust lay thick on everything, except for one small section of the wall where the dust had been cleared away, forming a perfect circle about the size of a dinner plate. What did that? Jax asked. Nyari knelt and touched the polished circle. Nothing we did. Before she could stand, the metal beneath her hand rippled like water. Jax jerked back. Leo gasped. The wall folded inward, peeling open like a flower. Behind it, a hidden round door slid apart, revealing a vertical shaft filled with dim blue light. Jax stared at it. That wasn't in any blueprint. Nyari's face had gone pale. My people mapped this ring when we first came. Nothing like this existed. Leo stepped closer, the blue glow reflecting off his bright eyes. It's been asleep, he whispered. It woke up when the storm hit. Jax shivered. Something about the shaft felt wrong. Not dangerous, but ancient. Older than the ring. Older than anything humans built. Nyari looked at Jax. We should not go down. Jax didn't argue. I agree completely. Leo tugged on their hands. It's lonely, he said again. It wants to show us something. Jax rubbed his forehead. Kid, you keep saying that, and I'm going to start believing the metal is alive. Nyari exhaled slowly. It might be. Before Jax could reply, the ring shuddered again, this time from a deeper level. A echoing sound rolled up through the shaft, like distant machinery waking after centuries asleep. Nyari stiffened. That was not human technology. Jax checked his rifle. Great. Love that for us. Leo stepped to the edge of the shaft. A soft light rose from below, swirling like a gentle breeze, but brighter. It drifted up toward him, as if greeting him. Nyari's arm shot out. Leo, don't touch. But the light wrapped softly around the boy's fingers. He didn't flinch. He just smiled. It knows me, Leo whispered. And it knows you too, Mama. It knows Jax. Jax's stomach tightened. You're telling me that thing just scanned us? The light pulsed once, almost like a nod, then drifted back down the shaft, inviting them. Nyari placed a hand on the wall, her voice shaking slightly. The storms never created anything like this. This is from before. Before what? Jax asked. Before humans. Before my people. Before this ring was ever built. Jax stared at the shaft again. A dark descent. An unknown light. A feeling in the air like old memories waking up. I swear, he muttered. I bought a haunted metal donut. Nyari surprised him by laughing softly, just once. A very dangerous one. The vibration returned, steady and patient. Calling. Jax looked at Nyari. Nyari looked at him. Neither wanted to go down. Both knew they would anyway. Grab your gear, Jax said quietly. We're going in. Leo squeezed his mother's hand. It won't hurt us, he said with certainty. It's been waiting. Jax swallowed. Nothing good in his life had ever started with a sentence like that. But he stepped toward the shaft anyway, because something deep inside him whispered the same thing. This wasn't danger. This was destiny waking up. Jax lowered himself into the shaft first, boots scraping against ancient metal. The air inside felt cooler, heavier, almost thick with age. A narrow ladder ran down along the curved wall, but parts of it had rusted away. Strange glowing veins pulsed faintly across the metal, like veins under skin. Nyari came next, Leo secured on her back with a woven strap. The boy's eyes glowed brighter the deeper they went, as if the light inside the ring responded to him. Stay close, Jax whispered, though the shaft was too narrow to do otherwise. Far below, a soft hum echoed upward. Slow, rhythmic, not a machine, not a reactor, a living heartbeat. When they reached the bottom, the ladder opened onto a wide walkway. It stretched out across a cavern, so huge Jax's flashlight couldn't find the far walls. The air here shimmered with pale light drifting like dust. The walkway was smooth, curved, and seamless, nothing like the human-built ring above. Your people definitely didn't build this, Jax said quietly. Nyari shook her head. No species I know shapes metal like this. It feels like stone, but also alive. Leo slid down from her back and walked ahead slowly. The walkway lit under his bare feet, each step sparking soft ripples that spread outward. Jax stared in disbelief. Is he doing that? Nyari swallowed. I think the structure is reacting to him. As they walked, the walkway led them toward a central chamber, an enormous round room with impossibly smooth walls. In the center hovered a dark stone orb, about twice the size of Jax's head. Cracks lined its surface, glowing faintly with blue-white light. The moment Leo stepped inside, the orb brightened. Nyari grabbed him instinctively. Leo, wait. But the boy's voice was calm. It's okay, Mama. It knows I'm here. Jax raised his rifle slightly, not to shoot, but because that orb felt like a loaded gun pointed at their souls. The orb pulsed. A wave of energy washed through the chamber, warm and gentle. The metal walls lit up in rings, one after another, like the awakening of a long-sleeping eye. Symbols appeared along the walls. Lines, shapes, patterns that shifted when Jax blinked. "What is this place?" Jax whispered. Nyari stepped forward, awe spreading across her face. "It's older than our maps. Older than the star charts. This might be a seed vault." "Eh what?" "Ancient civilizations built them," she explained softly. "Places hidden inside planets, moons, or rings. They stored knowledge, power, technology, waiting for the right people to find them." Jax stared at her. "You're telling me we just walked into a precursor vault?" Nyari hesitated. "I don't want to believe it. But yes, it might be one." The orb pulsed again, faster, its cracks widening like something waking from a long dream. Leo stepped closer despite Nyari's grip. "It's talking," he said. "To you?" Jax asked. Leo nodded. "What's it saying?" Leo turned to them, voice small but steady. "It wants to show us a memory." Before either adult could react, the floor lit up beneath them. The walls vanished, replaced by swirling patterns of blue energy. Shapes formed inside the patterns, tall beings made of light, their limbs long and delicate, their movements peaceful and slow. The light beings built the first ring. Not for mining, not for war, for harmony. Jax saw images flash like short dreams. Species from different worlds gathering here. Children playing in glowing gardens. Scientists studying energy flows without fear. Beings singing, their voices making structures respond like instruments. It was a sanctuary, Nyari whispered, hands over her mouth. A place for many species to live together. Then the images shifted. War. Machines tearing through space. The sanctuary ring shutting down. The light beings sealing the vault. Everything going dark. Then sleep. The vision faded. The chamber returned. Leo sat on the floor, breathing softly, his small hands touching the illuminated patterns. Jax knelt beside him. "You okay, kid?" Leo nodded. It was sad. They wanted peace. But the galaxy changed. Nyari touched the orb gently. And now it woke up again. The orb pulsed, sending another wave of warmth through the room. Jax stood slowly. So the ring wasn't abandoned because it failed. He pointed upward, toward where the company levels sat in silence. It was abandoned because the people up top were scared of what was below. Nyari's expression hardened. Yes, they found something they couldn't control, something they didn't understand. And they left you behind, Jax said softly. Nyari said nothing. She didn't need to. The orb pulsed again, no longer faint, but bright and insistent. Leo looked at them both. It's awake now, and it wants us to help it. Jax exchanged a long look with Nyari. They both knew the truth. This wasn't just a discovery. It was a responsibility. And the galaxy would not ignore something like this for long. The orb's glow faded to a calm pulse, but the air inside the chamber still vibrated, like a silent question waiting for an answer. Jax felt it in his ribs. Nyari felt it in her bones. Leo felt it in his very heartbeat. Jax took a slow breath. Whatever that thing is, it wants us to do something. Nyari nodded, staring at the orb as if measuring the weight of responsibility. Ancient technology never wakes without purpose. It must have scanned us. Judged us. Jax raised an eyebrow. Judged us for what? We only just walked in. Nyari's voice softened. No. It judged how we reacted. You protected Leo. I protected you both. We acted as one. Harmony. Leo turned toward the orb. It likes that. It likes families. Jax blinked at the boy. You sure? Leo nodded. It doesn't think in words. It thinks in feelings. It feels relieved. Like it found something it was missing for a long time. The walkway leading into the chamber suddenly lit up, section by section, forming a path deeper into the vault. The ring hummed louder, almost excited. Jax ran a hand through his hair. So now the haunted metal donut wants us to keep exploring? Nyari couldn't hide her small smile. Seems so. They followed the glowing path into a long hall filled with floating shapes, crystal-like structures spinning in place. Each one emitted a tone, soft and musical, blending into a haunting harmony. Leo reached out and touched one. It changed pitch instantly. It listens to me, he whispered. And to you, Mama. And to Jax. Jax touched one out of curiosity. The tone it produced was deeper, steadier. Nyari touched another. Her tone rose soft and bright, almost like a flute. All three tones blended together, and the hall responded. Panels on the walls shifted and folded, revealing a hidden console. Symbols danced across its surface, rearranging until they formed a glowing map of the entire ring city. But this wasn't the broken, dying Heliograd they knew. This map showed the ring alive, sections lit with power, gardens restored, living quarters bright and warm, waterways flowing. A sanctuary. A home, Jax whispered. So this is what the ring used to be. Nyari pointed to pulsing points across the map. It's offering control. Selective activation. It wants us to choose what to restore. The ring doesn't want owners, Leo added. It wants caretakers. Caretakers. A human. An alien mother. A hybrid child who could hear the ring's voice. Jax stepped back, overwhelmed. I'm a washed-out soldier. I don't build paradise. I break things. Nyari faced him, eyes bright in the chamber's light. But you chose to protect us. Even when the storm hit. Even when you didn't trust us yet. The ring sees that. He tried to look away, but she stepped closer. And I see it too. Jax's chest tightened at her words. He didn't know what to say. Didn't know how to accept something that felt like hope. Before he could speak, the map flickered and shifted. Another symbol appeared, red and sharp. Incoming. The chamber dimmed, warning lights pulsing along the walls. Jax's face hardened instantly. That's a ship ping. Nyari's eyes widened. The corporation? Maybe, Jax said. Or scavengers. Or worse. The orb pulsed stronger, as if sensing threat. A soft voice filled the room, not spoken aloud, but heard inside their minds. Time is short. Choose. Nyari clutched Leo tight. What does it want us to choose? The floating shapes brightened again, rearranging into two glowing paths on the map. One path lit the outer ring defenses, powerful enough to disable incoming ships, but risking damage to the ring. Another path reinforced the sanctuary systems, non-lethal, protective, peaceful, but leaving them vulnerable to anyone who wanted to seize the ring. It was asking them, fight or protect, war or harmony, fear or hope. The orb pulsed faster. Choose. Jax felt the weight of the decision crushing his chest. He looked at Nyari and Leo, the only people he had left in the galaxy. Nyari's voice was barely a whisper. I don't want to start this sanctuary with violence, but I won't risk losing my son again. Leo placed his small hand on Jax's. You always protect people. That's what the ring likes about you. Jax closed his eyes, exhaled slowly, and placed his hand on the map. He made the choice. For them. For the ring. For the future it wanted to grow. All right, he said quietly. We do it the right way. No killing. No war. Not here. The moment he touched the peaceful path, the chamber lit up in brilliant light. The ring accepted their choice. And it awakened. The chamber dimmed after Jax made the choice. The orb's glow steadied to a warm heartbeat-like pulse. The map of Heliograd shimmered, then reshaped itself, showing new lights spreading through the ring. Hydroponic gardens flickered online. Air purifiers breathed fresh oxygen into old vents. Soft illumination returned to dark habitats. The ring was waking up, not as a weapon, but as a home. Jax felt a shiver run up his spine. This place was alive in more ways than one. Before they could celebrate, the orb flashed bright red. A warning. Symbols flew across the map, jagged, sharp, pulsing with danger. Nyari translated them instantly. Intrusion. External signal. A ship is coming out of warp. Jax stepped forward. What kind of ship? The map zoomed out. A sleek, dark shape appeared above the gas giant. Long, heavy, military-grade engines. Not scavengers. Not traders. A corporate enforcement vessel. Jax cursed quietly. I knew they'd sniff around eventually. Nyari placed a hand on Leo's shoulder. They must have detected the energy surge when the ring awakened. Yeah, Jax muttered. And they're not the kind to knock politely. The orb pulsed again, faster, projecting holographic images around them. Human soldiers in heavy armor. Corporate officers with data tablets. A child, an alien child, being scanned by machines. Nyari sucked in a sharp breath. They want Leo. Jax's teeth clenched. Like hell. The map shifted again, displaying the ring's systems. Every corridor, every deck. Sections lit up with soft blue light, showing recent repairs. Others blinked yellow, untouched, unstable. Then a new symbol appeared. A glowing point near the ring's outer dock. Jax frowned. What's that? Nyari moved closer. A breach prediction. The ring knows where they'll try to enter. They'll come in fast, Jax said. Probably cut through hull plating. And once inside, Nyari whispered, they'll search every level. Leo looked up at them, small but steady. They don't have to find us. He walked toward the orb again, touching its surface gently. His eyes glowed brighter, yellow with a trace of blue. Instantly, the ring responded. The floor vibrated. Lights shifted. Panels folded open and closed like metal breathing. Jax stepped back. What is he doing? Nyari's voice trembled. He's communicating. Directly. The orb projected a new image, another map, this one showing internal tunnels Jax had never seen before. Twisting passages beneath maintenance decks. Hidden vertical shafts. Escape routes woven through ancient architecture. Nyari gasped. These are not human-built. These are older. Leo turned, eyes still glowing. The ring says we should hide. It will protect us. But we must move now. Jax forced himself to think clearly despite the rising fear. If we run into the wrong tunnels, we could get trapped. Nyari nodded. Then stay close to Leo. He is our guide now. The boy smiled softly at Jax. It likes you too, even when you say bad words. Jax snorted. Yeah, well, tell the ring I'll try to behave. They hurried through the vault entrance. The walkway lit ahead of them, guiding their steps. Behind them, the orb's pulse faded slowly as if preparing for something bigger. As they reached the top of the shaft, a sudden blast rocked the ring. A deep metallic roar rolled across the corridors. Jax grabbed Nyari's arm. That was the docking ring. Nyari's eyes widened. They've already started cutting through. The hallway lights flickered. Emergency shutters slid into place one by one, sealing paths behind them. The ring was closing doors, shielding them. Move, Jax barked. They ran through twisting corridors, some newly lit, others dark and full of dust. The ring hummed under their feet, shifting panels, changing routes, guiding them like a living maze. Far behind them, distant voices echoed. Human voices. Armed, organized, cold. Jax recognized the tone. Corporate security didn't negotiate. They claimed. They extracted. They erased. Nyari carried Leo when the boy grew tired, though he still pointed directions with glowing fingertips. Left. Down. Through the old ventilation shaft. Across the abandoned crew quarters. At every turn, Jax listened to the echoes behind them growing louder. We're not going to outrun them forever, he whispered. Nyari stopped just long enough to meet his eyes. No, but the ring will not let us face them alone. Leo pressed his small hand to the wall. A thin line of light spread outward, racing through the corridor. It's preparing, he said softly, to defend us. Jax swallowed hard. Define defend. The kind that doesn't kill, Leo answered. You chose that path. So did the ring. Jax felt relief and fear mixed like ice water in his chest. Non-lethal. Defensive. But corporate troops wouldn't be gentle. They reached a small concealed chamber. As soon as they stepped inside, the door dissolved back into the wall. The chamber lit softly with calming blue tones. Hidden. Protected. For a moment, they could breathe again. Nyari wrapped her arms around Leo. Jax stood at the entrance, listening for footsteps. Then the ring whispered, not in words, but through every glowing line on the walls. Stay still. Trust me. They are near. Jax gripped his rifle. The sanctuary had begun its first test. Footsteps thundered through the metal corridors outside. Heavy boots. Armored soldiers. Voices sharp and cold. Corporate officers barked orders, their scanners sweeping through the ring like hungry insects. Jax kept his rifle ready, even though he knew it wouldn't stop them for long. Nyari held Leo close, her glowing fingers brushing his hair as she listened, not to the soldiers, but to the hum of the ring around them. The hidden sanctuary chamber trembled softly. Lights along the walls pulsed in a slow, steady rhythm, as if the ring were breathing. Is it safe? Nyari whispered. Leo pressed his palm to the glowing wall. His eyes softened. It's thinking, he said. It's choosing the best way to protect us. Jax exhaled sharply. Well, let's hope this ancient piece of magic chooses fast. A distant metallic thud shook the chamber. A door above them had been forced open. Voices echoed closer. We'll start from this sector. Scan for alien biosignatures. Recover the child if possible. Eliminate the rest. Nyari closed her eyes. Pain flickered across her face. They want him, the same way they wanted my mate before they abandoned us. Leo squeezed her hand. It's okay, Mama. We're not alone now. The lights shifted. A soft blue trail appeared on the floor, leading to a narrow exit neither Jax nor Nyari had seen before. Jax frowned. A new passage? Seriously? Nyari nodded slowly. Not new. Hidden. It was waiting. They followed the glowing path into a circular chamber unlike anything they had seen before. A wide pillar of energy rose from the floor to the ceiling, swirling with golden light. Floating platforms circled it, ancient, silent, and ready. Leo stepped toward the pillar. The light reached for him gently, like a parent recognizing its child. Nyari gasped. This is the core of the sanctuary protocol. Jax stared at the energy. So this is the heart of the ring? Leo nodded. It wants us all. Before they could question, the light expanded, wrapping around them. Warm, soft, alive. In a heartbeat, images filled the air. Gardens that glowed at night. Homes grown from living metal. Species walking together in harmony. Children playing under simulated skies. Ships arriving not as conquerors, but as guests. The ring showed them its dream. A place where differences were not weapons. A place built on cooperation, not fear. A place waiting for caretakers. Jax felt his throat tighten. Nyari whispered, It wants us to complete what the old one started. The golden pillar brightened. The ring spoke, not in words, but in feelings. Unite. Guide. Grow. Be stewards. Activate the beacon. Leo looked at Jax and Nyari. It won't activate without all three of us, he said. Human. Allery. Hybrid child. That's the harmony it needs. Jax stepped forward first. He placed his hand on the glowing surface. Nyari joined him, her blue hand fitting gently against his. Leo placed his tiny palm between theirs. The chamber exploded with light. Not pain, not heat. Pure, brilliant creation. Energy shot outward through every level of the ring. Lights woke across forgotten halls. Gardens regrew from dust. Broken systems reformed with ancient precision. Above them, in space, a column of golden blue light burst from the ring's surface, stretching into the stars like a cosmic lighthouse. The beacon of Heliograd had awakened. Outside, the corporate soldiers stumbled as gravity reversed, corridors reshaped, weapons were gently magnetized to walls, and force fields redirected them back toward their ship without harm. The ring didn't attack. It simply refused to let violence exist inside it. Their scanners failed. Their weapons powered down. A final push of energy returned them to their docking bay, alive but defeated. Their commander shouted through comms. Retreat. The ring is active. Pull back now. Within minutes, the corporate ship jumped away, leaving a trail of frightened radio bursts behind. Inside the sanctuary chamber, the brilliant light faded. The pillar Jin told to a soft glow. Nyari knelt beside her son, brushing her forehead to his. You did it, she whispered. Jax stood beside them, all pulling at his chest. No, Nyari corrected, looking up at him. We did it. All of us. For the first time in years, Jax felt something he thought he'd lost forever. A future. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. Ships began to arrive, not corporate fleets, but lost travelers, peaceful wanderers, families from different species following the beacon's call. And Heliograd welcomed them. Under Jax's steady leadership, Nyari's wisdom, and Leo's intuitive bond with the ancient systems, the sanctuary grew. Gardens bloomed. Homes filled. Children laughed beneath warm lights. The ring, once a dead relic, had become a living city again. One evening, on a high terrace overlooking the glowing gardens, Nyari leaned against Jax. Do you regret buying this place? She asked softly. Jax wrapped an arm around her shoulders. Regret. He laughed quietly. 50 credits bought me a family and a whole new world. Nyari smiled. Leo ran to them, laughing, his hands leaving trails of glowing light in the air. Above them, the beacon shimmered gently, calling others who needed a second chance. Jax looked up at it and whispered, HFY, humanity, hell yes. Because this time, humanity hadn't come to conquer. It had come to build, to protect, and to choose peace. And the galaxy was finally beginning to notice.